Senator Kelly.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I like the new chairs in the, aren't they nice?
They are.
Uh,
You can actually get around them. That's
Yes.
even the better part.
Mr. McMaster, thank you for being here today. I want to discuss transportation planning in rural communities. To help facilitate transportation planning and local buy-in, metropolitan planning organizations, or MPOs, bring local leaders together in urban areas to identify regional transportation priorities. Would you agree that these MPOs are effective at bringing together local leaders and to develop and execute projects?
Yeah, metropolitan planning organizations and rural transportation planning organizations play an important role in making sure that not only local but state transportation plans are developed consistent with the priorities of all of the communities within the state.
Yeah, well, I agree. And that's why MPOs get dedicated funding out of the Highway Trust Fund. But MPOs only exist in urban areas. You know, small cities, rural communities, they often get left out. Years ago, Congress created an equivalent program for rural communities called Regional Transportation Planning Organizations. But there's never been dedicated funding provided in the Highway Trust Fund to fund them. And I think that's been a real disservice to rural communities. It's another way where they're just left behind. Projects that go through a local planning process are delivered more efficiently with fewer delays and have more community support. And all of that likely means that projects can be delivered at lower costs when we do this and we fund them. So, Administrator McMaster, in your experience as a transportation professional, do you think that dedicated planning funding would help rural communities deliver projects faster and at a lower cost?
I do know that these rural communities and the RTPOs work closely with their state partners. If you're considering that in reauthorization or other legislation, we'd be happy to work with you and provide technical assistance as to what that could mean and how that could be implemented.
And has the Federal Highway Administration looked at opportunities to provide dedicated transportation planning funding to RTPOs to ensure that these entities have the resources to provide quality support for rural communities?
We do provide technical assistance within our division offices for our rural transportation plan, our regional transportation planning organizations. As far as specific funding, I'm not aware of that, but we do provide technical assistance. We work closely with the RTPOs in the planning process.
Well, let me just say, I hope that we can look for opportunities to work together on this to make sure rural communities have this support. And we're going to look for opportunities in the surface transportation bill to do this. I also want to ask a question here about the challenges facing tribal communities. As you know, many roads on tribal land are in very poor shape. On the Navajo Nation, we have hundreds of miles of unpaved, poorly maintained roads. They often wash out in rainstorms. School buses get stuck taking kids to and from school. Even teachers have a hard time getting to these schools. So it's hard to find teachers who want to work on the Navajo Nation because the roads are so poor. Kids there then get a poorer education. All of this is a real problem, and I think we need to look at how the tribal transportation program managed by the Federal Highway Administration can help fix this. We need to make sure that this program is well funded, but we also need to make sure that tribes aren't bogged down in undue permitting processes. So, Administrator McMaster, is it accurate to assume that most tribal transportation projects take place on tribal trust land?
That's my understanding, but I share your interest in supporting our tribal nations across the country. It's a significant need that they have. Resources are challenging on tribal communities. We have a number of programs directly addressing tribal needs and tribal projects, and would look forward to working with you to address these needs further.
All right, well, thank you for that. I spent a good amount of time on the Navajo Nation. In Arizona, it's almost as big as West Virginia. It's got a population of 225,000 tribal members, so it's incredibly rural, has just significant challenges delivering services, power, water, and roads are such a challenge because to get these roads improved, to get a company up there to do the work, it's often twice as expensive as getting it done in Maricopa County. So I appreciate you be willing to, work with us on this to improve the infrastructure on these tribal lands. Thank you.